Arsenal away 3-1 winners against West Ham. Goals from Gabriel Martinelli, Nicolas Pepe, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 3 goals on just 3 shots on goal for Arsenal. Effective, if not dominant, that moves them into the top half of the Premier League table. 9th place, just 1 point back of Spurs, nestled in there at 7th. Craig, were you impressed by Arsenal's performance today?
No.
Why not?
I think, at the end of the day, a victory's a victory, and credit for coming back and scoring the goals. It was better in the second half. However, West Ham had Arsenal where they wanted them in the first half, and a good team, a decent team, would have put Arsenal away, I think. A decent team would have buried Arsenal today, but West Ham are not a decent team, and that's why they are where they are in the league now, and that's why Pellegrini's hanging by a thread. And they allowed a very poor Arsenal team back into the game, and Arsenal took full advantage. And the one bonus for them is they've got a guy in Aubameyang that scores goals. Did it last year for Arsenal, did it for Dortmund, doing it again this season. That's the one bonus for them. But trust me, had this been a better side than West Ham, I think they would not have been allowed back into this game.
Stevie, you agree?
At 1-0 to West Ham, I couldn't figure out where the goal was going to come from. And then defensively, West Ham collapsed. The 2 centre-backs on the first goal were far too deep. And then, unfortunately, they had to bring Masuaku on, who, quite frankly, shouldn't be in the Premier League. And he let Pepe come inside on his left peg, and that was kind of it. So, on paper, it looks a good win, 3-1 away from home. But they were less than impressive.
I mean, what more can we ask for from this Arsenal team than what they gave today?
Well, you can ask them to do the same against better opposition. And the boys...
Yeah, but that's not going to happen today. Today?
Well,
great response.
I'd like it to happen at some point. not just today. I'd like it to happen at some point, and it hasn't. The truth is, and the boys are absolutely right, this is a desperately poor West Ham outfit. And as I said on this show a few weeks back, when you need a performance and need a result, there's no better team in the league to play than West Ham. And Arsenal proved it. For me, though, right, result aside, you look at Arsenal and how they play. They are desperately unconvincing passing the ball out to the back. And I'm convinced that's a disaster just waiting to happen. Again, maybe against better opposition, they get punished. And Pepe, as good a goal as he scored, I don't think he offered an awful lot before then. Martinelli, similarly. It's an equally unconvincing Arsenal team, but the difference between the two is they have Aubameyang. And in the end, that proved they're enough for them to get 3 points.
Don Hutchison, I don't want to hear how bad West Ham are. What's not to like about what we saw from Arsenal today?
Well, there's millions of things not to like. I didn't think they were any good. I've seen them play against Brighton a few days back, and the game was sort of looking like a carbon copy of that game. Brighton had more quality. Arsenal at the moment look a shadow of what the team's been over the last few years. It's a team that were there for the taking. No wins in 7. And Shaka's right. And engaging social media tonight, it was all about how, if you're an Arsenal fan, if you're an Arsenal player, there's one team you want to turn up in the Premier League and you want to play. It's West Ham. But Arsenal have just got nothing about them at the moment. There's no real confidence about them. There's no real temper to their play. There was periods in the second half before the goals going in where I was watching some of the Arsenal players. They were disappearing. They were hiding. We've all played the game, and when you're suffering a lack of confidence, you have to be brave and you've got to get on the ball. You've got to want to play. And I'm seeing performances at the moment from guys at the back and in midfield that are just not good enough. And they've got Aubameyang. They've got people like Lacazette who can turn it on, even though he's been a little bit tiresome of late, having arguments with loads of teammates. And, even Mesut Ozil tonight, yet again, just disappeared out the game. And, West Ham are a very average side. And for an hour, they had Arsenal exactly where he wanted them. And then all of a sudden, Arsenal turned it on and West Ham couldn't cope.
Don, 3 goals in 9 minutes. Freddie Ljungberg must have said something positive at the half. Can we at least give him some respect for the work today?
Well, a little bit. But what do you say? It's easy to play when you're losing the game. We all know that. You've got to play at 0-0. You've got to play even if you're 1-0 up. We can all chase the game, and we can all just abandon plans once you go 1-0 behind, and that was the case. Yes, Freddie would have probably got into his players. I'm not sure what type of character he is. I wouldn't imagine he's a Duncan Ferguson and would have ranting and raving at half-time. He might ask for a little bit of calm and a little bit of patience, but that's not what Arsenal need. They need something where the players on the pitch are going to get a rocket or two, and that's not going to happen, and you can see it in their performances.
Right, nobody then on the panel, very generous with Arsenal or Ljungberg. As we look at the odds for Arsenal's next permanent manager, Mikel Arteta right now, the odds-on leader at 3-1. Carlo Ancelotti in there at 14-1. I guess the question is, why wait around? Craig, would you do it now for one of these guys?
By your line of questioning today, you'll be hoping Freddie Ljungberg gets a job. Because you're coming across as if you're his agent. You bought shares in Arsenal in the last few weeks.
Look, when they score 3 goals in 9 minutes...
You're asking me who's going to get the job, by the way. I have no idea.
Anytime
you're now telling people what to say. You told Don, don't talk about West Ham. Let's talk about Arsenal. Tell me what's good about Arsenal.
They look good today. They've gone away from home where they never win. They got to win. What?
Mr. Arsenal, I'll tell you what was good about Arsenal today. West Ham.
Nah, come on.
That's what was good about Arsenal.
You can only beat the team in front of you. How many times have I heard that on this desk?
They looked good for 10 minutes.
We just saw that list of potential managers. Should they do it now? Or give Ljungberg a few more months to
no, I think
clearly not impress anybody here?
The sooner they get someone experienced in and start bringing in some better players, the better for them. Because the longer they go on with what they've got, it's just going to be stumbling from one game to another, quite frankly.
Ljungberg doesn't continue for you?
No. Listen.
You've been calling for Allegri, right? Now.
I've been calling for somebody for a long time. I know Ljungberg hasn't convinced well, I know it's only 3 games, and again, I'll stay away from criticising Arsenal. There's nothing about Freddie Ljungberg that suggests he's the right fit for Arsenal long term. Get it done now, because again, if the merry-go-round starts, I think Arsenal find themselves quite low down on the pecking list.
It's not Freddie Ljungberg. Maybe it's not. It's not. We could talk about Freddie Ljungberg for an hour. It ain't nothing to do with Freddie Ljungberg. No. It's the squad. It's the decisions that have been made. It's the personnel, right? We're talking like they've been beaten 5-0 today, by the way. But that's where they are. They're totally. And I repeat, a decent side would have absolutely smashed that team today. Seriously, they would have done. And it's about recruitment. The recruitment. I mean, the midfield. The Arsenal midfield is horrible. The back line is horrible, right? They're a million miles away from getting back to where Arsene Wenger had them many moons ago. A million miles. And, they can change the manager now, but until they get the recruitment policy correct, they're going to be out of the equation.
Let's talk about West Ham, shall we?
No, I've talked about them.
No, we're going to talk about them now. Because they find themselves in 16th place, 1 point clear of the relegation. So now we like to hold people accountable on this show. Let's flash back to September 23rd when Don Hutchison was asked to compare West Ham with Leicester City.
I think Leicester can push them, but I think I'm seeing something different. I'm seeing a little bit of steeliness in West Ham this season. Is there any difference, seriously, between West Ham and Leicester? Is there any difference?
For God's sake, Don, leave it.
Is there?
Leave it. This is harsh. It's a harsh.
I'm sorry.
Don, I told him, Don, I said, don't do it. Don't get that.
You remembered the date it was. You were the one that asked for it.
I said, don't embarrass Don here. And they said, no, we're going to have to drag this up from the archives. Well, it can happen to anybody, can't it?
Yeah, well, I'll say as a master of a terrible take, Wayne Rooney, I can appreciate Don going out on... Don, do you have any defence for yourself here?
I've got no defence, but I'm just wondering when the Stevie Nicol chat about Sheffield United going down is going to happen as well. If we're calling people out on this show, Stevie Nick, you said about Sheffield United not being good enough to stay in the division, they're going to go down in the bottom 3?
Well, that was me and probably 100 million others on the planet, whereas you were the only person to say to West Ham, we're going to be in the top 4. That's a slight difference.
They were sitting in 3rd at the time when I called it.
Is this the new curse? Is this the new curse of ESPN FC? The
Don
Hutchison
so
curse?
We've
had the Shaka hurt. Yeah.
I bounced back from that.
Look at this. So here's West Ham before that fateful day, and after just 1 win in the 10 matches.
Let's be honest. He can't. We talked about managers the other week. Marco Silva, he's gone. Unai Emery.
Pellegrini's got to be.
He's gone.
I mean,
Maurizio Pochettino, he's gone. They've got another big decision to make. It could be in the next 24 hours. It could be in the next week. They've got Southampton, I believe, the next game. Then the game against Liverpool's postponed. And they've got Leicester City. I mean, it's looking grim.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.